Hey, Nico, thanks for joining us today. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, Brian. Very happy to be here. A little bit of background. I'm actually, my name is Nico Boschart. I'm senior partner account manager at Barracuda these days. I'm with Barracuda for the last 4.5 years already. But before that, I obviously am a father of two. I am married. I have a dog. And I'm passionate about what I do. So this is, I think you can see that already. Yeah. But, as being a professional background, I'm actually a graphic designer. So I was not trained to be a sales guy at all, I think. From school, I went to, a lettering company, lettering and signing company. And then to some printing companies and all of a sudden, financial banking crisis hit. And I had to change jobs, and therefore I couldn't find anything else because I was not academically schooled. So nobody wanted me because I was not good enough. I had the experience, not the diploma. Anyway, I started a few years earlier. I started my own little business in the logo designs and stuff like that. And somewhere around 2009, one of my own clients called me, which was an IT security company. They called me for something else about the design and stuff. And I started telling my story that I was in between jobs. And all of a sudden, the man came up to me during that same phone call saying, hey, why don't you come work for me? So you can do sales 4 days in a week, and 1 day you can do your graphic design. And so I started in IT and IT security and sales. And it's actually been a roller coaster since then. And all of a sudden, I'm switching for an IT reseller company to a small distributor, which was the sister company. And then I switched to a vendor, a local small vendor. And then I switched to Barracuda. That's long story short. And I always thought I was not able to do something else than graphic design. And look where I am now.
Well, graphic design kind of got digitized and labor arbitraged to the point where I'm sure the margins were squeezed really tight. Is that true? Or?
Well, at that point, I think it was not sincerely a commodity at that time, but it was something that people or companies could do less with. Or less of. So that means that, with the company I was at the time, it didn't work out with the boss and the person in charge. And they tore me down in my self-esteem and my being certain of myself in my designs. So I started making mistakes. And because they looked over my shoulder with the hot breath in my neck, I started making more mistakes. So, this is something that really got me down, and I needed to change. I needed something else. For my own mental health, I needed to change jobs. And I'm really, really lucky or fortunate to have people around me that see potential in me. And then but the funny thing is, at some point I never realized it, but it started only when I applied for the job at Barracuda, that I realized that in the roles before, I've always been doing sales without realizing it. In the signing and lettering company, when it was a little bit slow on orders and designs I needed to make, I went from door to door, selling lettering to the shopping windows for Easter or for Christmas or whatever. And then after, in the printing company that I worked with, I talked to the people and making sure that they made the right choices in their birth cards. Or I went from door to door to sell print-on-demand Christmas cards. Whatever, I did door-to-door selling. I did prospecting. I did it all. And that was during a time that I thought I was only a designer.
So the cold part of sales didn't bother you, the talking to strangers, the getting out of your comfort zone, the meeting new people?
Not at all. Not at all. It's what I live for, Brian.
Well, as a graphic artist, I would think most people go into it because it's kind of a solitary profession where you and your design,
you and your computer.
You kind of zone out, and you're creating.
Correct.
Without hopefully without anybody's input over shoulder there, but
No. It wasn't the best time in my life, but I'm in a way I'm happy that it happened.
sure, yeah.
Yeah. So because otherwise I would never have made I would never have realized that I was able to do something else than just waiting tables on the one hand or designing the thing
Yeah.
I went to school for. What I'm doing today is absolutely not what I imagined at the time I was
And
able to.
you focused a lot on channel sales. Is that true?
Correct. I'm
Yeah.
well, these days I'm the senior partner account manager at Barracuda. I used to be just a channel manager, but recently I made I made a promotion, so that's really nice. It's a more difficult title to express, but but yeah, within that, since 2009, when I started at that IT security company, they had like let's say some sort of a side business from their speciality, is if that is a correct word. They were the security party in Belgium, and they supported other partners who did not have the knowledge on security towards their customers. So they had like a channel already, like sub-distribution, let's call it. And the only thing at that time, what they did was just have somebody from the administration following up the renewals. That's it. But they didn't do any, development.
Yeah.
And that's how I moved from end user sales to channel sales, and then moved to the sister company, taking all of those resellers with me, supporting them on, let's say, a more correct distribution level. And then I moved to a vendor. So that's how I got into channel sales.
And what do you like about channel sales? Because you stuck with it for a while. I've never done solely channel sales. We've always had, partner system integrators, resellers,
Correct.
but it was always more at the very end of the sales process where they.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I'm actually, maybe I can say I'm at the beginning of a sales process of somebody else.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that, well, you asked, what do I like about channel sales, is the fact that I am able to to get people enthusiastic about what we do, what our job is, but what we do as a company, what we bring in terms of solutions. This is something that I love doing, inspire people to talk about the same subject that I'm so enthusiastic about.
And how did you get enthusiastic about what other people would think isn't it enthusiastic worthy word isn't in there?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because at some point a while ago somebody said, yeah, Nico, Barracuda selling email security, how sexy not is that? And I'm like, not sexy? Are you serious? This is big business for this is an entire economy for the cyber criminals, and for us this is something that really is a thing that we definitely need to keep an eye on, and as a company, as a user, as clients. So how I stay enthusiastic, as long as I'm able to express how important this is, and not just talk about products, because everybody can talk about a product. Yeah. It's addressing the challenges that companies have, and then they feel, for my partners, that is like, yeah, there's somebody I can, or a few customers that I can talk to about this. They don't have this yet. That's the thing that I'm looking after. Direct sales are like, yeah, closing the deal. Wow, what a rush. I'm like, yeah, but for me, the rush is to get people inspired and to get people enthusiastic about taking my solutions, or the Barracuda solutions now, taking them towards their customers. That's when I have a win.
And that's it, because a lot of people don't get channel sales because, it's a lot like sales leadership without a title in direct reports. It's like, because they don't work for you, they work with you. Mm-hmm. And you Correct. Have to excite them, motivate them, convince them that they can be successful selling your product.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, it dawned to me a while ago, like a few years ago, that actually when I started at Barracuda, I was the only channel manager for 3 countries. Yeah, they are not countries like the same geographic type of countries or states as you have in the US, but it's, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. But nonetheless, it's 3 regions, several different languages that I needed to be able to get people enthusiastic about. So, the salespeople at a partner site and the salespeople at a distributor, they are actually an extension of me as salespeople for Barracuda. So, and you need to be almost over the top enthusiastic to drill down and lose a little bit of that enthusiasm at a distribution level, then lose a little bit again towards a partner, and they need to be able to be still enthusiastic enough to take the story to their customers. And you need a high level of energy for that.
Right. And I think a lot of people in technology sales lose that, or never have it, or don't develop it. They
Correct.
think, oh, that they got the most megabits per second, nanoseconds conversions, right? They talk in the techno speak because the developers worked years to develop that. And they think that's why people would buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But so does everybody else, says the same things, and it all sounds the same.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but what you're saying is absolutely right. And it's a cliche when I say it's still a people-to-people business. I can move from one distributor, from one vendor to another vendor and talk about a product, but still people will want to buy from me and not from the company per se, or not the brand per se. People who know me, I'm all about a brand and less a product. I'm here representing a brand and myself as that brand. If people see me, they think Barracuda. And that is the whole point. They need to want to buy from me, or they want to learn from me how to sell. Yes. That's basically it.
And a lot of people are trying to stamp that out of sales. That likability, enthusiasm, that personal one-on-one connection. And I don't understand why, because that is why they hire salespeople.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's really funny that you think that people that some want to take that out of sales, that sales is just something transactional. But all of your videos are actually all about dealing with people. Yes. You walking around on the street doing those bits on the cliche situations between a CEO, a sales manager, and the sales rep. That is all about being human to human.
Yes.
And yeah, it's funny that people think that should be taken out of sales instead of putting it more into, because all of the big ones talk about empathy. You do, Tony Robbins does, Dean Graziosi does, even Jim Rohn does. They all talk about empathy. If you read Think and Grow Rich, if you listen to other podcasts, at some point, empathy is still a thing that opens doors.
Right, because it's not about us. It's
Absolutely.
about them.
Absolutely.
And them is empathy. How do you know what to do if you don't know what they want?
Yeah, that's true. And one example that came up just 2 weeks ago is basically I was working with one of my sales colleagues, my sales reps, at a large deal to get it closed. And the guy at the partner side, he said, I'm going to do the best I can for you in order to close that deal before the end of the month because you need it. So I'm going to do everything I can because, and then he mentioned something that really touched me, was the fact that, Nico, he said, a while ago, I was having some private issues, a lot of stuff going on with my daughter, and this was really hard time for me. And you sent me this postcard, a simple, stupid postcard, just giving me a message in terms of, we're thinking of you, keep your head up, you'll get through it. And he mentioned then a while ago, he mentioned that to me, and he said, I haven't forgotten that postcard. that you sent me months ago. And that is the thing that we do. And I feel that within the team that I work with, we all have that idea of, you know, that little detail that makes us human to humans.
Yes. And people look at that as like old school, but people haven't changed that much.
No.
And everyone's like sending, you know, Starbucks cards. Now, would he have reacted the same way if you sent him a $25 Starbucks card?
No. Oh no. Oh no. He would have thought,
Because it
I'm
wasn't the
drinking.
paper card. It's what you
No,
wrote in it. It's the thought, the energy
correct.
that you put into it
Yeah,
that he
absolutely.
appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, you know, and something else that people really appreciate is the fact that you are not, well, in my line of work in IT, because of the fact that I need to inspire people, I can't just go in at a company and say, what about this, this, and this, and this, and this? Yeah, we need to, you know, there's something that we need to, I don't know, we need to express without saying it. We need to show it with our body language, with our face, with our, you know, how we dress. And, you know, people talk to me, people that I've never seen before at a big distributor, for example. But they have seen me walking around the sales floor or crossing the sales floor towards the team that I actually work with. And all of a sudden they speak to me and they say, Nico, they don't know my name, but they say like, you know, it's always so cool that you guys dress up so nicely with the, you know, with the little vest and the, you know, almost a suit, but then a jeans and sneakers, and you make a difference, and you always wear the logo on your collar, and that makes you stand out. And that's exactly what we as a channel manager definitely need to do. It's how we look, how we dress, and how we address people, the way we address people, not the words that we're using, but how we are using them.
You know, even, you know, we've known each other in person here for about 15 minutes. I would have no qualms about going up to you at a trade show and saying hello, because you come across as a very friendly, nice, sincere person.
Yeah, tell that to my wife.
Yeah, well, she'll learn. So how did you develop this empathy? Because I don't think we're born with it. I think it's a developed skill, that it's a very advanced skill. Everyone thinks they have it. Few do.
Yeah, and hey, I need to be honest. I'm not a saint here. I not always think of the right thing to do towards somebody that is, you know, gotten sick or is out for a while, or maybe even had a burnout. You know, there's situations enough in where we work, or anybody works for that matter. But I think being surrounded by people doing that already, or thinking of that already, has changed me in thinking in that way as well.
Yeah.
Because it actually, there's a lot of things that I was already doing in the past as a channel manager for another smaller vendor, or even for that small distributor that I worked with in Belgium a while ago. But it's been ever since I started working at Barracuda and working with my manager, who's always been a mentor to me as well. And then a few months later, when I started, a few months late after when I started, we got this new marketeer, and he has been promoted and promoted and promoted. He's doing an amazing job, but he's so full of empathy. He thinks of these kind of stuff, and, you know, letting us take the credit for what he thinks is something that I learned as well. Yeah.
And how about the passion? Because I don't know if were you always this way? I mean, you seem high energy, very passionate about what you do.
Yeah,
very expressive.
Absolutely. You know, but very expressive is something that I always loved being. You know, I maybe it's when I was a kid, maybe it was about seeking attention or something, I don't know, but it ended up well, in my opinion, though.
Yeah.
But all the passion, all the energy, I think during my professional life, it started to grow on me, and it started to be a thing that people remind me of, or
Very characteristic.
be
Yeah.
reminded of when they see me.
Yeah.
And when I switched jobs from that previous vendor to the new one, and I was saying my goodbyes to my contacts at distribution, a lot of people say, oh, we're going to miss your energy, and the way you were running these spiffs here was amazing, and nobody else does it like that. And being on a stage and presenting, and being trying to be an inspiration for others, if only I touch one soul, then I think I succeeded in what I was doing on stage there. And it always touches my heart when people come up to me and say, Nico, what you did there was so different from all the others, and you really got me thinking. And that is, that's what gives me the energy. And then combined with a solution that you can bring, we always start with talking about a challenge that an end customer has, where the reseller needs to talk to, and he needs to address the challenge. So we always start from a challenge and from the human perspective, and what they face and how they face it, and what they come across and run into, and so on and so on. That's the most part of my presentations. I try to be that empathetic, and at the end, we start talking about a solution, not even a product, but a solution.
Right. Yeah.
And if those solutions can keep me going because they keep my story sharp, then I will always have that energy and that passion for what I'm doing.
And what's your why? What's your mission? What's your motive? What, when you wake up in the morning, what are you looking forward to?
Well, to change a little bit, to learn myself, for myself, to learn even the smallest things, even if I do something and it didn't turn out what I was expecting it to turn out, to learn from that, and to maybe even from my manager, from my mentor, get a response. Hey, you should have thought about that differently, or you should have handled that differently. That's always learning. But the bigger goal is actually to mean something in people's lives. That's my why. I want to, for my wife, for my kids, for my parents, for my customers, for my distributors, for my partners. That's meaning something for somebody else.
That's a unique. No one's ever said that on the show.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's a first.
And where would you like to go with your career?
Well, I think that there's not enough knowledge shared about channel. Yeah, there are these podcasts, the channel chat and so on, and yours sometimes talks about channel sales here and there, but there's nothing in terms of training people how to be a good channel manager. So
that's true. Yeah.
This combined with my role at this moment, I want to grow to a to a bigger territory at some point. But the thing that I chase the most, or that I have as a goal, is the fact to have people that I can guide, that I can teach things from my experience, and what might work, what might not work, to coach them. Let's call it coaching.
Yeah.
I would love to become a channel coach within the company I work for, but also to have a bigger project around it, outside of it even.
And what do you see most channel salespeople doing wrong? Because, I'm not an expert on channel sales, I'll admit. I'm not. And that's probably, and a lot of people say have more channels people on. I go, do you know anybody? Because, right. People say, oh, have more women on. I go, do you know anybody? I don't have, I have the people that other people recommend. Right.
Yeah. Well, what a lot of channel managers miss is, I have this thing that in my head that I want to create like a TED talk around. Let's call it that, and it's called P. Yeah, so PEE. It's persistence, energy, enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I think the combo of the three of them is something that not everybody has in channel. Because we talked about it earlier, you need to have that energy. You need to have a high level of energy, a high level of passion. That's another P that we can use for the first one. So it's passion. You need to express that passion in order for other people to get passionate about what you do and what it could bring them.
It is
towards their end
contagious.
customer.
Yeah.
And that's I think the P is something that a lot of people miss.
It is, because it's hard, it's expensive, it's calorie burning, you have to be proactive, and there's a lot of stuff pushing against you.
Oh yeah.
I'd be more passionate if.
Yeah, I'm not going to sell it because I'm not being commissioned on it. Oh my God. A lot of sales reps that I need to be able to make enthusiastic about, not even Barracuda, but about cybersecurity. And a lot of salespeople don't have had a spark of knowledge, don't have a spark of knowledge about security. Right. So I need to teach them first about cybersecurity, then talk about the challenges, and then talk about the Barracuda solutions or the solutions from the vendor at that time. And, there's a lot of people that come to me and say, yeah, it's out of my comfort zone. Yeah, I'll stick with unified communications. That's more my thing. But they are being commissioned on IT and on IT security at that time. And some others, they are in IT and they sell IT, but they stay in their comfort zone, as in, yeah, I get the orders in my inbox. I'm being reactive and I still close my number.
Right.
Yeah, that's the things that we as a channel manager run into. And then if you have that, call it, I don't say that I have charisma, but if you have that thing that makes people enthusiastic and makes people to listen to you, then you might open that door a little bit in terms of getting that cybersecurity subject in there and hopefully have them to get to become more proactive on cybersecurity.
Well, that's it, because when you typically talk to passionate people, the depth of knowledge typically isn't there, but I'm not sensing that with you. You invested the time to learn, because cybersecurity is really hard to learn.
Well, in a way, yes, but in another way, it doesn't have to be that complex as people think it is.
Right. It's a little scary. All these acronyms and things you don't understand. It's invisible.
It is.
Yeah,
but on the other hand, yes, a firewall is a complex matter. That is correct. I'm not going to say otherwise. And we have pre-sales engineers, covering that for us. We just talk about high-level network security. But on the other hand, you have a lot of security solutions in email, in data protection and all the other stuff. It's all SaaS these days. It's security as a service, software as a service. It's cloud-based, and cloud-based often means as well it's made less complex. The UI is very important, and UX, so the user experience, is so much more important than it has been years ago with local and on-premise solutions. So, and I have the privilege to be working for a company who puts a lot of effort in having an easy to buy, easy to use, and easy to maintain solution, and that's in the entire portfolio the case. So, or we try to.
Cool. Hey, this has been a fun conversation, Nico. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
Obviously, they can go on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn there. So please do follow me and learn a little bit more about cybersecurity. But, you can, if you type in my name in Instagram, for example, I do a lot of Barracuda stuff there as well. So it's Nico Bossy Bosgaard. That's my Instagram name. But, LinkedIn is the more professional one. So follow me on LinkedIn, Nico Bosgaard.